All right, we're back for another More Than You Can Chew podcast, and I have one of my favorite people on as a guest, Colin Carrasquillo, Marketing Director of Nielsen Automotive Group. And of course, you were on my old podcast as a guest, and that's sort of how we got to know each other a bit. But Colin, how are you doing these days?
I'm doing really well. And yes, let's jam, right? We're getting the band back together. So very happy to see, obviously, your continued success and everything that you're doing. Been following the journey, obviously, on LinkedIn and seeing all of the awesome work that you've been doing when it comes to, AIO, the artificial intelligent search engine optimization thing that we're dealing with here with, Google and Bing and how that's impacting the industry. But yes, I've been following from the sidelines, but rooting you on nonetheless. So
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Of
yeah.
course, lately some segments with CBT. So how did that? Before we even dive into it, how'd that come to be? I love seeing you up on the station.
Yeah, so well, thank you for asking. Ultimately, it's one of the pieces of advice that our general manager, dealer partner here, Bill Snoffer, had given me. It was basically you don't get unless you ask. So we had done some previous interviews, CBT News. This is going back to COVID times, actually, so many moons ago now, 5 years ago. But from there, they always valued the relationship and the input and the energy and things like that I would put into when we were just doing the interviews with them. So just through their CBT News network. And then it became, hey, how do we take this to the next level? Here's a concept, right? And that concept was essentially Marketing Matters. So I had approached them 2 NADAs ago when they were doing one of their live broadcasts. I actually had a business proposal, an actual physical proposal. I walked up to them and I said, this is how we're taking it to the next level. And, sure enough, then we ended up filming about 8 episodes of Marketing Matters. And now we are planning the next season, if you will. So it's just all about getting the right content together and making it meaningful for the dealership community. I think that's the biggest thing is I don't want to just go and talk about things for the sake of talking about them. I really want this to be an educational show, the segment in and of itself, and it has to resonate with the dealer community. And so that's why it's taking a little more time because it has to resonate with me first. So.
Absolutely. I love it. So I've been watching from the sidelines as well. And actually, Marketing Matters, and that's exactly what I wanted to have you on to talk about.
Cool.
And, right before we started recording, we were talking about, the disruption with ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AIOs, the deprecation of sort of like decline of organic traffic from different sources, and just sort of the importance now of, not that it's never been not important, but even more important now, considering all those disruptions, of having a broad portfolio of marketing channels, strategies, tactics, and not putting all your eggs in one basket. Because even though I'm an SEO, I realize, hey, there's other really valuable means by which to reach car shoppers in their path to purchase. So just talk to us about sort of lately what you've been doing for the dealerships, if there's any specific tactic or strategy or channel that you think dealers aren't really taking full advantage of that, you'd like to kind of highlight in the marketing mix and modeling mix that you've been doing for the group.
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. And there is a lot to unpack. I know this is kind of like a little bite-sized variation of everything that we can talk about. So I'll keep it brief. But, ultimately, I think the biggest thing, first and foremost, is have an understanding of how the market is changing. And what I mean by the market is how marketing is changing, right? So you have done these incredible deep dives and analyses about how SEO, right, is evolving. And it almost seems daily, right, that there's something new coming out. So before we say, hey, let's focus on a larger or the holistic picture as far as a marketing mix, it really is important for dealers to understand how SEO is and has already evolved, right? A lot of what dealers need to start focusing on is what I will call conversational SEO. And this is how they're going to kind of be AI whisperers, right? We'll just call it that. But AI whisperers in the sense of you want your dealership to be the source of information right, for the AIOs that are being served on Google, essentially taking position 0, right? So this is above and beyond your first organic results, your first paid results, so on and so forth. Now, you've shown some really great information about the actual clicks or traffic that those are generating. And surprisingly, I mean, at least surprising to me, it's not as much as people I think would anticipate. But nonetheless, I think you need to understand the fact that you want to be a digital land baron. That's essentially what I'm calling it here at Nielsen Automotive Group, right? The more positions you can take up digitally, in theory, the more real estate you own digitally, the better opportunities your dealership or dealer group will have. Why? You're effectively pushing your competition off of the first page of Google. The majority of your traffic, I guarantee, any dealer listening out there, is going to be from a mobile device. Imagine that. Now you have an even smaller screen that once everything populates that Google deems, viable as far as giving information to a consumer. So these AIOs, a Google business listing, all of that information comprised within the business listing, you are now well into page 1 or 2, or I shouldn't say page, but scrolls on your mobile device. So I don't want to shy away from how important that is. And there's so many different ways to go about learning how to essentially become that digital land baron, finding out the most popular questions people are asking about, whether it's the automotive brands that you represent or just the automotive purchase process, incorporating that as far as content on your websites, becoming an authority, right? The source of information will help you, I believe, moving forward, because it's only going to become more focused on that. It's what's the query someone's asking and how is you as a dealer can actually answer that. But you have to be very creative and tailor it to your specific dealership. And you can't just create a narrative. You actually need to do research, and you need to put factual information out there based upon sources of information that are unbiased sources, or that is real information for a consumer. You can't just say that this vehicle is the most affordable vehicle because it's one of the cheapest vehicles in your lineup, when in reality, it might not be one of the most affordable vehicles. You can't create that narrative, or else Google will not, view that as factual information and will not serve you as a result. So I just want to say that. And I know I said I'd keep it brief, but I think that that's exceptionally, exceptionally important. And then from there, the second thing that I think dealers really need to focus on is, if you do nothing else for the remainder of the year, I would almost say that if you have an understanding of SEO and then you focus on better understanding what the OEM, so the manufacturer, is doing as far as their marketing and advertising, understanding how that works or feeds into or complements your dealership specific strategy, you will be able to unlock many different things. You're going to unlock efficiencies unlike any efficiencies you've seen before. And that can be efficiencies from just the advertising in and of itself and the results that it's generating, or cost. Right now, a lot of the things that dealers are concerned about, right, is overall expense. And that's expense from floor plan. You can see all of our inventory behind us. You can see expense from the personnel side of things. You can see expense from the advertising side of things. Those are really the main three, let's say, facets that dealers are analyzing and looking at. So efficiencies in the sense of, if an OEM is covering X, Y, and Z in their, let's say, upper to mid funnel exercises, then what you as a dealer need to do is stop focusing on those mid to upper funnel exercises that you may be focusing on because you want to create more intent. Just capture the intent that's already out there from the OEM and do a really good job of capturing that kind of low funnel, high intent. So, for us, it's really been a back to basics mentality. End of 2024 into 2025, focus on SEO, become really, really good at SEO. And we're doing so kind of from a group, or I should say top-down approach. So group SEO, feeding that into our respective child sites and then actually back to our group or to our other child sites. It's this incredible web that we are weaving as far as SEO. And then from there, the paid side of things, dominate low funnel, high intent outlets. SEM, we have some remarketing built in there, but really it's just capture any and all intent you can. And then once you get people to your websites, make sure you have a really good website experience and that your sales staff is handling those customers who end up submitting some sort of, information, right? And an opportunity comes through that they're handling that consumer very well. And that's it. I know it was a lot, but that's what we're doing.
That's great. So on the OEM side, so what you create does that just sort of complement that, or do you come up with like a completely different sort of message branding strategy, or is it do you try to create synergy between what the OEM is doing and what you're doing?
Yeah, I think the term that they would use or still probably use is the swim lanes. So, each person has their own swim lane. You want to make sure you're in your own swim lane. You are ultimately trying to get to the same objective, right? So for us, I would actually say, and to be as politically correct as possible, it varies based upon the brand and the OEM. Let me give you some examples to unpack that. So Stellantis, for example, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram. They may have initiatives where they're doing what they call their heavy ups. Now, I think other OEMs call them heavy ups, so it's not exclusive to Stellantis. But, the heavy ups are, let's focus on specific makes and models of vehicles within the Stellantis lineup, right? And they may have more funds available in the market that are dealer-directed funds that a dealership can leverage to advertise that product. Now, imagine this, though. If I'm already advertising that product in what we'll call our always on campaigns, meaning what we're always advertising, do I, in theory, need to dump all of this other monies that's now going to be directed to those same vehicles that I'm already advertising on top of what I'm already spending? Or can I say, you know what? I'm going to throttle back the spend on those vehicles in my always on campaigns because now we're going to have more funds in the market. And sometimes those initiatives are not even initiatives that would be those lower funnel, high intent initiatives. More times than not, they're the mid funnel initiatives like, streaming or OTT or, connect. Well, I mean, yes, the streaming side of things is like connected television or it's video, right? And these video initiatives, that to me, even though you might have your dealership nameplate at the end of the video that you're advertising, is more of a mid funnel tactic where why do I want to compete mid funnel where everyone else is going to be blasting that messaging out there already? Let me capture all of the intent that's going to be created by these other dealers, right? So, maybe it's like the naysayer attitude, and I don't want to be that, where it's like, of course I'd like to support the rest of the dealer community and dealer body, and we're all in this together, so let's all invest on these mid-funnel initiatives and really create some brand awareness around Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram, and then hopefully our dealers, will gain this traction and traffic from other competitive dealers, right? But in reality, it's, yeah, I'd do that, but tell you what, I'd rather capture all of the intent that you guys are going to generate at that level by spending money on these heavy up initiatives. The second thing too is I think it's okay to say no. I mean, I've learned that in just my life, my 32 years on earth, but even in marketing and advertising, if an OEM says, hey, well, here's dealer directed funds for this, and this, it is okay to say no, because just spending more incremental dollars in the market doesn't necessarily create new shoppers. It's not every dollar I spend, a new shopper's born. And when they're born, they're going to be babies and they're not driving for, 16, 17, 18 years. So what do you mean if I spend more money in the market, it's going to generate more shoppers? Not necessarily, depending on some of these tactics. So long story short, short story long, fact of the matter is you definitely want to find ways where it can complement or supplement, right? And then there are times where you just say, they're going left, I'm going right. They're jumping. Some people say, how high? I say, I'm fine right here on the ground. You know what I mean? So that's That's how we kind of analyze it.
I love that. Is many questions people get aggravated about SEO. Is my answer is like, it depends. Hey,
Right.
will this work? It depends. Is this right for this brand or this dealership or this market? It depends. That's the things that I like. Truth. Your comments about that and about how, hey, look, I can't just give you this broad swath answer. We got to talk about this in specifics based on.
And that's the case. And I feel like a lot of people end up thinking that we're, dodging a question or not providing an answer. And in reality, it's no, that's not the case at all. That is the answer. If I believe all these initiatives are going to create more intent in the market, well, then I don't want to be part of creating the intent. I want to capture the intent. And if I only have limited monies, right, available, which all dealers have limited budgets, right, then be that person that's going to try to capture that and dominate everything else. Now, if you realize that, oh no, there's not enough awareness or intent, right? We have some brands like that. I mean, Mitsubishi is a perfect example, okay? They are quite deficient when it comes to tier one advertising. I think this is kind of a known thing at this point in time. So unfortunately, the onus of creating the awareness around the Mitsubishi brand, the awareness and the intent falls on the dealer body. And so the dealer body is paying for tier two initiatives, right? Regional marketing initiatives, when in reality, I think the OEM should be doing more tier one and letting the dealer focus on tier three, capturing all the intent that's created. But I tell you what, I mean, it's not a secret. I've been talking about, hey, I'm going to be the guy that captures the intent. Well, all Mitsubishi dealers now, this is real life example, are paying for these tier two regional advertising initiatives. I'm not. I'm throttling up my tier three so I can capture all of your activity initiatives. That's what I'm doing right now. And we're seeing success with that. So I think there definitely is some validity to, the conversation that, yeah, it's not one size fit all, and it's not this easy black and white, like, oh yeah, well, this will work for you. It's no, you're right. It depends. So.
Yeah, I really like that. I've not had anyone talk about leveraging what competitors are doing to then be more strategic in how you're going to capture that intent. So
Sure.
or just blasting money, blasting ads just to try to create that intent and get that awareness. And I like that nice little pivot you got going on there.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, look, you're watching what's going on in the marketplace and you're going to make a better decision.
we're so agile. Marketers, and especially digital marketers, can be so agile. And it's amazing that more of us aren't, right? Or don't think like that. And I'm not saying it's not rocket science. I love doing this to just share different perspectives. I even value, I mean, listen, going into 2025, and now kind of my mantra to the year is like, the more eyeballs on things I do, the better. Not meaning like me talking like this. It's more so the more people I have looking at my website who are, whether they're vendor partners or ours or internal staff or shoppers, that then tell me like what their experience was on the website, right? If they go, well, I couldn't navigate to this, and this, or this pop-up was annoying me, or this page was broken, or this image doesn't look right, I'm welcoming it. The more people that look at my marketing mix and my strategies, I have given out. I mean, I'll tell you, and I think this is probably a really good exercise for other marketers and dealers. I've given my budgets to trusted partners of ours in the marketing space and saying, here's what I'm doing. Here's my analytics access. Look at it. I'm trusting you guys to go in and pick it apart. And I've done that to probably 3 or 4 different people, and they come back, and what do? We have a dialogue. I'm having more of our vendor partners work together, and let's call it the same sandbox, than not. I think this is how marketers need to approach the ways that they are going and marketing for their dealerships or businesses at this point in time. I have multiple vendors, like I said, working out of the same Google Search Console, so everyone can see exactly what everyone else is doing. They have roles. So, okay, you guys are focusing on my SEO. You guys are handling all of my pay-per-click, right? So the SEM side of things. How are you going to leverage them together? Where are you dropping that traffic off? How's that going to feed to this campaign? How are the optimization scores going to be because of our, pages and things like that built out through the SEO side of things? So I would say that's what dealers really need to focus on. And I love the name of the podcast, by the way, because sometimes it's like dealers think it's more than they can chew. But if you actually did it and took the initiative, right, what ends up happening is you might weed out people who just are not good fits for you anymore, right? I mean, I'm using this example of having someone work out of the same Google Search Console. Guess what? I have vendors who have said, no, we're not going to do that. And I go, okay, well, this is the way that the Nielsen Automotive Group is going to be doing it from here on out. And so maybe it's time that our relationship ceases, right? We part ways, and that's okay. It wasn't anything that you specifically did or that I specifically did. It's just how we're evolving in the market, right? And that's sometimes you need to make those tough decisions, and sometimes they're more than you can chew, but we make it.
Great. I love that transparency. I feel like so many times people are so guarded with sales data that they have and information. They don't share things with their partners. I love that you're creating real, true partnerships with those that you're working with. Well, Colin, I said I was going to keep you like 10 to 15 minutes or 20.
It always happens with me. No, I appreciate it, man. It's awesome as always.
But we're going to close this out by, I want to ask you, whether it's from your travels or right there at home,
Yeah.
is there a place you would go, look, if you're in this city, this is a place you got to go check out because the food is just too good?
So yes, my wife and I have a place that we absolutely adore, and it's in a town by us in New Jersey. It's called Westfield, New Jersey. Is a town. It's a beautiful town to walk around in. So if you're ever in the market, I would text me. We will go out to this place, but it's wonderful Cuban cuisine. It's called 1958 Cuban Cuisine. Just really, really delicious food, and the staff there is unbelievable. I mean, we've been going there for years now, but they're staff that you'd want like at a dealership. They treat you like family. You walk in, they know your names, they hug you, they'll sit down, they'll chat with you. It's just a really, really awesome restaurant, awesome experience, and great food. So yeah, 1958 Cuban Cuisine, Westfield, New Jersey. If you're ever in the market, we're going to get some Cuban.
I haven't had some good Cuban since I left Raleigh, North Carolina. Oh, love the recommendation. Love the insights. Colin Carrasquillo, Marketing Director, Nielsen Auto Group. Marketing matters on CBT. Make sure everyone checks it out. Colin, thanks for lending me
You're the best,
some
man.
time to find out more than we can chew.
I appreciate it. Yes, and we'll chew through it. We got this. All right, man.
All right, everyone. I'll catch you on the next episode of More Than You Can Chew.